Philippine city volunteers reported disaster relief progress to the master. A brother-sister pair both made stem cell donations to save patients' lives. Welcome to the Headlines. I'm Suri Su. Thank you for joining us. Continuing her island-wide tour, Dharma Master Cheng Yen held a video conference call with Philippine city volunteers at Xingdian Jingsi Hall. In addition, volunteers from the United States reported to the master that 3 Tzu Chi clinics have been upgraded as federal certified health centers. In the aftermath of Typhoon Goni in the Philippines, city volunteers assessed damages and initiated a work for relief program, recruiting local volunteers. Volunteers in the Philippines explained their progress through video conferencing.
The affected residents were mobilized and they like to do good deeds. Maybe it is a good affinity for us to come here and recruit them to Tzu Chi. They're happy to see us and they are willing to wear our volunteer vests.
但愿呢，我们能帮助他们有一个简单的家哈。你们在现场呢，在当地呢，是否要多用心啊？
Meanwhile, U.S. city volunteers have returned to Taiwan. After they completed their health quarantine, they explained to the master about good news regarding U.S. city medical mission.
3年半的努力啊。
After we have worked hard for 3.5 years, we're able to accomplish this. Finally, on October 26, we obtained the certification of the Federal Health Center.
拿到了这个认证。
大家都有这样共同心愿，要做师父想做的事，听师父的话，这就是呢，我这一辈子啦，值得再要留下去的一股力量。
City volunteers around the world harbor great love and alleviate the pain and suffering of the people in need. City volunteers continue their assistance after Typhoon Goni struck the Philippines. In Batangas, the Work for Relief program was completed. Volunteers distributed financial aid, helping 260 families.
Love is delivered to 2 places in the Philippines. After Typhoon Goni, Tzu Chi hosted Work for Relief in Batangas to clean up for 2 days and was finished last week. This week, they distributed the consolation cash. 5 years ago, Tzu Chi once walked into the indigenous area in Davao City. $260 families, depending on the number of family members, received cash ranging from $300 to $500. 5 years later, the COVID-19 pandemic made the indigenous people even more unsustainable. Volunteers went there again to distribute daily necessities such as rice and blankets.
Thank you for sending us all the supplies. Really grateful to Tzu Chi and Master Cheng Yen.
Thank you for lending love to such a remote place, just like God has listened to my prayer, so that the wish I've been praying for a long time has come true immediately. I can't believe you have sent so many supplies to us. I still thought it was a dream. Other groups have also come before, but never came back after registration. I didn't expect you to come to help us again. If God sees this, He will also be moved. I really appreciate it. My heartfelt gratitude to you.
Love has already been spread to the forgotten corner in the mountain.
It's been more than half a year since COVID-19 has affected the world. In Greater New York, schools have reopened with alternate days, and the teachers have been asked to educate both online and in person.
Wearing a mask and social distancing with desks, this is the scene of schools in the United States post-COVID-19. For Greater New York, over 80% of the students from the city do online learning at home full-time, while those not in the city alternate days of attending class at school. For Mr. Chen, who lives in Long Island, his 7th grade son alternates going to school. Safety measures start the moment they step near the campus.
The school has a line mark on the ground, where the students can queue up to enter the school. They take their temperature at the door before entering. If the body temperature is higher than accepted, they'll enter a designated classroom, and the school will notify the parents and ask them to pick up your child.
Not only alternating days for school in-person learning, the classroom participants are also adjusted according to class size, ranging from 10 to 15 students per room. Some middle schools have opted for the students to stay in class and the teachers to rotate classrooms instead. Some schools have even closed down the cafeteria with students eating at their desk. Also, to control the crowd of students, schools have restructured their flow of traffic, where it's one-way only walkway. So if you happen to miss the classroom, you have to loop around. However, the most challenging has to be the change in the teaching method.
At the same time, I have to turn around, face the computer, and kind of explain to the people online. So I have to do both kind of back and forth, back and forth.
Andy Su is a fairly new teacher and has had to adjust to the new teaching method. During class, he needs to take care of the online learning students and those in person. This type of method is being referred to as a hybrid teacher. Su says during the 45 minutes of class, a hybrid teacher not only has to teach the lesson, but also help the students communicate with one another, much like a translator would. And even at times, feeling like an influencer doing a live performance to entertain the online students.
Teachers are asked to do a lot of things right now. They're asked to make a new curriculum. They're asked to learn new technologies. They're asked to be able to check in and work with both in-person and at-home students. And they're also asked to do all of this within the same amount of time they had before.
As for the students, many have had to adjust to at-home and at-school learning. For those choosing to do in-person learning, they hope to be able to see their friends and interact. But due to social distancing protocols, very little is happening. The most normal classroom discussions amongst peers have become challenging, and trust between the students and teachers are hard to form.
The only difficulty is that you can't really interact. You can't have like group projects, group work is very difficult to do nowadays because half the class, of course, is in school, half the class is at home. So it's really difficult to be able to communicate with other people, to work on a project and stuff like that.
Teachers have to work extra hard to build that relationship and to make sure that students talk to each other, hear each other, and trust each other. Because learning can only happen with trust. And I think we're all a little uncertain about everything, so it's hard to trust right now.
As there is no end to the pandemic just yet, there are still some adjustment grace period to be had for this new learning method for both students and teachers.
In Brazil, the pandemic has affected the economy. A city councilor at Tzu Chi to hold a distribution to help families in need.
The boot is adequate before Tzu Chi's distribution is really experienced by Brazilian. The pastor wrote down what he had learned.
When you gave your speech, what you were talking about is a kind of people's feeling. It has nothing to do with religion, but love without borders. Whether it is here or anywhere else, it is the same.
Tzu Chi Bazaar Liaison Office cooperates with the local church to provide rice, beans, sugar, oil, flour, coffee, and sneakers.
Muito bom fazer o bem.
I'm very happy and I've received the grace of God, as well as the food basket and sneakers you provided.
Tênis.
Thank you very much.
E mais gratidão.
Today, I came to participate in the distribution activity in the community of Itami. You have helped many poor families. This is a very meaningful task. I feel very happy with the distribution organized by Tzu Chi.
This substantial help relieve the current difficulties for those suffering from the pandemic.
Sichuan City volunteers went to Daliang Mountain for the third year to send love before winter. They brought rice, cooking oil, and clothes.
A whole truck, which is full of rice, cooking oil, and warm clothes, followed Tzu Chi volunteers up the mountain.
We have to estimate how many materials are needed, how big the truck is required to transport the materials, when will each truck arrive, and how to arrange the driver upon the truck's arrival. We have to consider more compared to the process last year.
This is the third year Tzu Chi sends supplies to Daliang Mountain before winter. It takes 6 hours to drive from the city to the mountain.
慈济人以感恩、尊重、爱，再度来 来到大凉山，表达一份最真诚的感恩与祝福。
Residents of Yi tribe were expecting the supplies, as the soil is barren in this mountainous area, as making a living is not easy when winter comes.
马上要过渡了嘛，还有我们。
Winter and the new year of our Yi tribe are about to come, so this cooking oil and rice are very helpful to our village.
对我们这个村来说，很大的帮助的。
We used to wait until New Year to eat rice. Now there's a lot of rice being delivered to us anytime. Thank you very much.
Students studying in the city came to volunteer and also have a wish.
I want to study hard to change the rural area here, so that every villager can lead a good life.
Carrying the supplies, the winter this year is no longer cold, and the dream of the villagers is getting closer.
To care for community residents, Guangdong Tzu Chi volunteers assisted the local government to promote revitalization. Since September last year, they have carried out charitable work in Wuxi village. Volunteers also prepare a vegetarian banquet to celebrate the Double Ninth Festival.
Wuxi village in Zhanjiang, Guangdong has been associated with Tzu Chi since July last year. In the past year, volunteers visited there more than 20 times to care for the solitary seniors and send warmth in winter. Recently, they visited the village again to give special gifts to all the elders. Volunteers diligently prepared a vegetarian banquet to celebrate the Double Ninth Festival. The elders enjoyed the delicious dishes very much. The feet washing ceremony after the meal made many volunteers who were away from home burst into tears because of missing their family.
We are actually more like those married girls because we can't stay by our parents' side. Today, we have the opportunity to wash the seniors' feet. It was just like washing our parents once. So in fact, many of our volunteers cried.
I have never washed my parents' feet before. They worked very hard outside throughout the year. So I want to help them wash their feet when I go home in the new year.
The village officials and volunteers also invited artists to perform, making the scene full of warmth and lively.
I think this activity of respecting and being filial to the elderly is very meaningful. It can also teach our younger generation to do the same.
This atmosphere of respecting the elderly also appeared in Quanzhou, Fujian. To thank the recycling volunteers for their efforts, a series of performances made them feel warmth of being in the Tzu Chi family and continue to protect the earth in the coming year.
In Pingdong, Taiwan, Fang Huiying and her elder brother, who run a bed and breakfast, each made stem cell donations within 5 years. Fang says she's happy to be able to save a life. She cleans and organizes the courtyard of the bed and breakfast. When she was notified in March that she matched with the leukemia patient, Fang Huiying did not hesitate to donate her stem cells.
My brother's reactions were very good. His health conditions were fine, so he did not feel that he needed to worry. In the past, we thought that one needed to extract bone marrow from the back. In fact, medical technology is very good now.
Fang Huiying recalls the day of her stem cell donation. She sat on a massage chair comfortably for a few hours. Volunteers accompanied and cared for her, providing post-surgery care.
Sitting there, I could not move my hands. Tzu Chi sisters kept feeding me food. I had to gain weight, or else my weight was too different from that of the recipient.
She was trying to lose weight. However, in order to save this person, she said that she can eat more and nurture her body. We were afraid that her fins are too thin, so we asked her to do arm exercises.
We were also very surprised. She said there is no need for us to explain the process to her. She said she knows it because her brother has made a stem cell donation. So, there is nothing to be afraid of. This Bodhisattva family overcame difficulties to save lives.
In 5 years, the brother and sister pair each made stem cell donations to save precious lives.
I'm happy that I can do something for him. I hope that in the future he can enjoy good health.
In Malaysia, Tzu Chi recipient Afik was diagnosed with bone cancer when he was 13. He always had a dream of being an athlete, but was forced to amputate his leg. Afik is 19 now and has been battling with cancer, but he never gave up.
Time tu 2014 lah saya masuk sukan MI. Time waktu training tu saya sakit. Tomorrow tu pergi hospital X-ray and then pakai simen dia baru tahu yang kanser tulang. Saya mau hidup lama. So kalau saya tak potong, dia akan merebak sampai paru-paru. So saya boleh mati. Lebih baik saya potong lah. Saya potong, saya boleh buat macam-macam.
"19-year-old Afik has just received the new medical crutches provided by Tzu Chi volunteers. Afik's leg was amputated 2 years ago, but that did not extinguish his hope towards life. Although he's unable to become an athlete, he's determined to live his daily life to the fullest, treating it just like his own competition.
I am alive now, so this is the best time for me to repay my parents. They've spent a lot of money to treat my illness. Now I want to work hard and earn more money for them. I'm working as a janitor now and also selling salmon with my auntie.
I think that he's a very positive child and he has a very outgoing personality. He's also very filial towards his parents. He has a wish, that is to be able to have a prosthetic leg. So we discussed with the Lions Club and they agreed to sponsor him a prosthetic leg, which costs 11,000 ringgits.
With the sponsorship from the Penang's Lions Club, Afik finally had a second left leg.
I am very happy. After installing the prosthetic leg, I can finally walk without depending on the crutches. I will continue working and I hope to participate in the Paralympics in the future. Next year, I will head to the Penang State Sports Council to apply.
After 6 years of battling cancer, we can only use bravery to describe his story. After facing such a big turn of events in his life, maybe he's able to head back to his dream of being an athlete once again.
Lin Youan, who was born with impaired vision, was originally an introverted child. City volunteers encouraged him to go to the Taichung School for the visually impaired to study. Now he has not only become confident and cheerful, he has even obtained a massage license.
谢谢师姑师伯教导我很多。
Being able to interact with classmates freely is a breakthrough for Lin Youan, who is visually impaired and introverted.
He was very shy at the beginning and didn't dare to talk to people. Now he's doing very well. He will take the initiative to get to know new teachers and new classmates. He will say hello to them.
Youan has improved a lot after he came here. The teacher said I protect Youan too much. I showed him do things by himself.
When I studied at a normal elementary school before, I was always bullied by classmates.
陌生的同学欺负。
Lin Youan, who was born with impaired vision, lived in fear since youth. Volunteers visited him and encouraged him to leave this hometown and study in a specialized college.
We have been talking to him and encouraging him for a long time. He then told me that he would travel to pursue his studies as long as we continue to care for his mother.
After I got the massage license, now I want to move forward to accomplish my goal.
我想要的目标前进。
Lin Youan has now become confident and cheerful. He often follows his mother to do recycling at Tzu Chi recycling station, giving off himself happily.
To recycle protective packaging for fruit, it needs to be sorted, clean, and dry. Even if all these processes are carried out, a strong wind can blow them all away. One volunteer was inspired to sew a large mesh bag with zippers to make this recycling work simpler.
As soon as these words were spoken, a plastic bag flows away on the horizon. Before this drama took place almost every day.
Drying them on the road or on the ground, it kept on flying around and affected the neighbors next door.
I'm so grateful to her for having this thing. It used to take 30 minutes to collect them, but now I can do it in 15 minutes. In one hand, I can carry 3 bags.
Seeing that the courtyard is so big, they all took it upstairs to dry, and it was not easy to dry. Then I thought to myself that if I had this, I might as well sew it together.
A simple idea started Li Yu's handiwork.
The bag has a zipper that is recycled from leather suitcase. The thread is from a flower bag, which is very solid. I did not expect to be able to use it, but I just did, and it is what I use now. Whatever I needed, I just picked them up and use.
More than a dozen mesh bags took 3 days to complete. It was hard work, but 5 years ago, after the death of an elder, then Li Yu devoted herself to recycling. Using her brain and some materials at hand, she developed a new magic weapon.
This wood has some nails in it and makes it faster. Otherwise, Qiu Yue's 2 hands will get tired from swinging around. I was once a labor worker, so I think of ways to try and make things easier.
There's no way I could have thought about it. She uses a different type of thinking, and it's quite wise.
Aside from her wisdom and creation, she also lives with cancer and had to handle things in a calm manner.
Don't think that you're simply sick. You should do things happily and be able to accompany these old bodhisattvas. I don't want to waste my time at home, as Dharma Master Cheng Yen says that we should rush to do good deeds.
In 2016, a severe earthquake damaged Tainan's Zhuozhen Elementary School. Back then, Tzu Chi provided 5 prefabricated classrooms for the students. Now that the school's rebuilding has been completed, the prefabricated classrooms are being disassembled and sent to the University of Science and Technology.
Carefully removing the roof tiles. Volunteers are on the ground working in relay as the 5 prefab classrooms from Tzu Chi at Zhuozhen Elementary is being retired. From the smallest items like a screw to the electric plug, everything needs to be packed up and organized as these parts will be heading to a new destination.
It's still usable, so it's being transported to Hualien's TCUST.
Those who have money can donate, and those who have strength can help with labor. This is a very meaningful event.
During recess, the 6th grade students take one final look at the classrooms, which they spent 2 years at.
下雨的话，有些地方会有水掉落，然后位置就会往旁边靠，所以有些同学都会挤在一起，所以就感情很好那时候。因为我们就是离孩子。
Our office was only one walkway away from the students, so they were on their best behavior most of the time, and it improved their conduct.
态度都有改善一点。
The 4 years of using prefab classrooms, they went through typhoons, flooding, and scorching hot temperatures.
也遇到高温的时候。
When it was high temperatures, the students would complain that it's hot, and we would remind them that this too shall pass.
This is a shelter that Tzu Chi has given our school during our most needed time, as we needed a place to have a class without worries during our quick rebuilding period.
Though they will miss having these classrooms around, the students and teachers are thankful to have had the classrooms during their time of need, and glad the classrooms will be sent to be lovingly used elsewhere.
In California, Walnut Grove kindergarten teachers made a doll's house with recycled materials. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.